We are facing slowing growth, rising unemployment, and faster inflation. Now, magnitudes are going to be absolutely crucial. And I think a really big question for the Fed in particular, as they think about their policy, is the duration. Right. If we're just seeing a kind of a blip, a move up in inflation that recedes as we adjust to the tariffs, or maybe the tariffs go away. But that's like a key question that we are far from having the answers to.
See this, you see how she does this? It's the University of Michigan, and they get on the x-axis. She's looking at the duration.
Yep.
She's looking at the lengthiness of the magnitude.
Claudia, can this economy avoid a recession? I mean, again, I see a jobs number today. I think about Tom's theory that companies and people adapt. And can this economy avoid a recession?
Absolutely. I mean, we have all the ingredients of a recession. We have the tariffs, we have the slow immigration, we have the federal cuts and other factors. We have massive uncertainty. Like really, we are pointed towards a recession. And yet we are in the very early stages, and we see some attempts by businesses to build some buffers, like a big inventory build, getting ahead of the tariffs. I mean, nobody wants to lay off workers. Nobody wants to cut back on their spending, right? Like people are trying to make adjustments. So, but what needs to happen is these aggressive policies that have been put in place, these cost shocks, they have got to be dialed back, and really quickly. I mean, there's some damage done already that we're going to deal with costs as this year goes on, but magnitudes matter, and avoiding the recession, and particularly the recession dynamic, is when that shock, it just spreads through the whole economy. And we really have got to nip this in the bud before you have those feedback effects take hold.
When you see a lot of companies, again, we're probably 70% away through the earnings cycle here. A lot of companies are, as you said, either pulling their guidance, or if they still have guidance, they're saying, we're concerned here. We've got a lot of variability around our businesses. What do you take away from what you heard from corporate America so far?
Right, so clearly, these are big shocks. There's a lot of uncertainty. I think the other place I found pretty interesting reading this time was going through the Fed's beige book, which has a similar kind of talking to business contacts, talking to nonprofits and the communities. And you just hear over and over again, contingency planning, getting ready, like potentially cutting hours, but not there yet. But it is so clear that a massive amount of time and energy is being spent on this. What do we do when it hits?
Wait, Claudia, you've sat in the offices at the Fed, folks. This is not the romance of some big fancy table in the Eccles building. This is the meat and potatoes of doing PhD work at the greatest central bank in the world. And the answer is, you guys like smooth curves, gradual change. We just had Gene Soroka in of the Port of Los Angeles, flew in just to talk to John Tucker. Claudia, he sees a jump condition, a discontinuous event at his port. How do fancy people like you fold in the reality of longshoremen and truckers in Los Angeles?
Right. It's a moment where, to some extent, you have to look at the models, but put them to the side. Right. There's no macroeconomic model that's going to give you the kind of discontinuities, the kind of very sharp turns that you're seeing in the data. I mean, that's why we should expect. We had this massive surge in imports that had a big effect on the composition of GDP in the first quarter. We're going to probably see a snapback because, from that shipping, those imports are going to the floor. So don't come to me and say, oh, GDP is 3% in the second quarter, all's great. Like, that could be under the hood telling us we've got a big problem in the second half of this year. So you have to, you have to respond to those discontinuities, particularly when you can tie them back to a story. There's noise all the time that you want to look through. This isn't noise, right? Like, we're responding to something big. And then that's why that outlook is important in the judgment.
Claudia, with great respect for your impact on American economics, I think everybody wants to know this. Unfair question, but I'm going there on this strange Friday. What is your counsel to Hassett of Pennsylvania, Besant of Yale, and Greer, our trade representative, as they counsel the president? These guys are legit academics. What should they do with this unique presidency?
They need to slow it down, right? I disagree with the policies they're pursuing, but I'm very concerned about the way in which they're being pursued. Right? This is very aggressive. This is very fast, and it can potentially cause a lot of damage. So even if you're in the spirit of having more industrial policy, having higher tariffs, a smaller government, like, there's a way to do this that doesn't cause maximal damage, right? And I'm very concerned. And I think the White House, and you hear some messaging from them that, tariff rates aren't sustainable with China and we're doing negotiations, but like we need to see some action that actually pulls back these costs before it's too late.